If you need to replace the axle key on your 500 watt geared motor, it only takes a couple of tools. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the outer case screws. You're going to need a pair of circlip pliers to remove the circlip that holds the inner gearing in place. And you're going to need a 3-jaw puller. This is a 5-inch model. 6-inch would probably work as well, maybe up to an 8-inch, but at least 5-inch probably. And something to turn the piston on the puller with. And you're going to need your new axle key. Once you get your motor off of the bike, you'll need to take the hardware off of both sides of the axle. So pull your hardware off. And you'll want to probably note sort of what order you had it in so that you don't have too much trouble getting it back together. Once you've got the hardware off, you want to undo the 6 screws around the outside of the case. I'm using a battery-powered drill. If you use an electric screwdriver like this, be sure to turn your torque down when you reinstall, or you can strip out the screws because they're going in aluminum here. This makes it faster though. And when you're putting them back in, you want to tighten them in a star pattern, like for lug nuts on a car. That helps to make sure that they all get evenly tight and they all end up pressing evenly so that the faceplate is flat. You'll notice that I was using the torque setting even for removing them. That helps me know what they were set at so I can get it set back as it was. You'll notice with the side plate off that all the internals come out in one piece, and you can see the stator here. You can see the inner shell, the magnets. You flip it over, and now you can see the gear assembly. I'm going to grab another little tool that we like to use, which helps us to safely hold the wire off of the table. You really want to be sure not to damage that wire, or you're going to have a much more difficult repair than you started with. Here's the circlip we were talking about. Grab your circlip pliers. Open up the circlip. Carefully remove it without bending it too much. Place it down. Now's when you need your 3-jaw puller. You're going to carefully center the jaws between each of the gears, and you're going to put the centering cone into the center point on the axle and screw this down to take the slack out. Once you've got the slack out, this should actually probably come off just by turning it with your fingers. If it doesn't, grab your wrench, give it a couple turns, but you'll see it's already coming off very easily. This is a good sign. If you get this crooked, you can really do some serious damage, so be gentle. Now that you've got it off, we can see the axle key in here, and we can see the shim underneath. We're going to pull our axle key out. In this case, this motor is undamaged, so you'll note that the axle key is in one piece. But I'll show you what you might see if it was otherwise. And this actually, they fit pretty tight. They can be kind of tough to remove. You might need a punch in some cases to take this out. Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. Okay, so we've got a couple different kinds of punches here, and a pair of needle noses, and a small hammer, and this might help to remove it. If you're having trouble getting it out, you just need to kind of lever it out there with your punch. If it is a broken one, it'll be much easier to remove because it will have been wiggled around quite a bit. Okay, I think the lower edge is starting to come out. It's never actually this difficult. It really isn't. This one's stuck in here pretty good. So you can try to attack it from the other side if you're still having trouble. Get your punch up under the shim. Tap it upwards a couple times. It's really usually very easy. Oh, there we go. Alright, they never fit that tight. Now, if this was a broken one, you would probably only be taking half of it out of there, and then it would be sheared across, and the other half would be stuck in this keyway, so you'd be removing it from that keyway and that keyway, and then being sure to put this in the proper orientation when it goes back in, which might not be the way it came out. Now, you take your new key, which was on the table here somewhere. There you go, you take your new key, and you want to get a little bit of grease on the new key. That's going to make it easier to take back out also next time. And you just plop it right in the keyway there. Move your shims down out of the way. Looks like we're going to have to tap this on in as well. You usually just sort of set them in. Okay, that looks about right. Now that it's in, put our motor back vertical. And you should be able to just push this on by hand. So orient your gears down, line the keyway up. We have some models that have 2 keyways, and if that's the case, then just use either one. And you should be able to press it in place. If you have trouble, you see here how the gearing has got a mesh with the sun ring, the sun gear there. These are the outer, the planet gears, and they've got a mesh with that sun pinion. So you can give them a turn until they start to line up, and there you can see it pops right in pretty easily. Now you take your circlip again, you drop it on, and it should be at the proper height to where you can just open your circlip there. And this is another good place to have your pliers. Pliers I'm using to help me press the circlip down, because it's kind of hard when you open it to also push it down. And now you can see the circlip is in place. You have to make sure that it's into that groove there, so otherwise bad things will happen. And if you had an outer shim on here, you'll want to put that back in place. Not all models will use an outer shim, but if you had one, put it back in place on top of the circlip. You can see that in our case, the outer shim is still inside the shell here. So just to make it a little more certain that we don't crush this when we reinstall it, I'm going to pick it up out of the shell, put it on top of the circlip there. That keeps things from rubbing. And now I'm going to drop everything back in. And this is another place where the gears might not line up. The outer ring gear there needs to mesh with the planet gears. And if it doesn't, just give it a little bit of a turn as you put it in, and it should drop in pretty easily. Now, you check your other side plate to see if there was a shim, and if so, you'll need it. You'll see the shim is still on the motor there. So you want to make sure that if you had one, you put it back. I'll slip the side plate back over the motor. Once you have it lined up, and remember, keep your torque low. And you'll notice I'm going in a star pattern. Like I said, and you just heard it pop in place. And now I'm tightening these just a little bit at a time, not all at once. Trying to hit each one 3 times before it starts to click off. Don't do that too often. Okay, now I'm going to turn my torque up to my final tightening torque here. Okay, now you can put your axle hardware back on and you can give it a test ride. That should do it. Thank you.